Diego employment attorney Ward Heinrichs is back on Big Blend Radio today, and he's going to give us some California business updates, especially during this COVID-19 quarantine situation. That sounds like a rap song almost. I know. We could change that up. Now, you hear Ward on our show just about every month, and he is one of our guest contributors in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. His latest articles are showcasing the different and new laws for California employment law for 2020, and also what's going on with the AB5 and the ABC independent contractor test, all kinds of drama going on there. So check it out at blendradioandtv.com, but even better, go to his website. It is bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com. He's on Twitter and Facebook as well. So welcome back, Ward. How's it going?
It's going really well, Lisa. How's it going with you guys?
We're doing good. We're in California, Ward.
How about that?
Yeah, I know. I've been following you at 29 Palms and all those. Or is it 29? No, it's 29 Palms, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the pictures you've been posting on Facebook. It looks pretty good. And you know, I guess I spoke a little quickly when I said it's going well. I mean, under the circumstances, it's going well.
Yeah.
But it's been crazy. I have to tell you. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the entire state's on lockdown.
I know. It's weird. Like, we come to California and they go, that's it, shut it down.
You're like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, they see what you do before, so they shut it down just as you're arriving.
I know, but it's good to be back in our state. I don't know when we'll get out, but we will at some point. And, you know, this is interesting. The last time we were on the show talking about, you know, the AB5, the ABC test, and now I see that they're working with independents that are like, you know, the independent contractors are getting help, right? Isn't that part of the stimulus package that they're going to get some help if you're like an Uber driver? So I'm like, oh, dude, there's something weird going to happen out of that down the road. I'm just saying. Yeah,
there is, you know, I don't know if it's effective yet, but yes, independent contractors can potentially get unemployment, if that's what you're referring to, and I know about that. But you've had to, it looked to me, because you know, I'm trying to piece this stuff together, so, you know, I may get some of this stuff wrong, I got to say, but I don't think I'm wrong on this. It looks like you've had to work for another employer within the last 18 months to be eligible. So if you've been an independent contractor for, you know, years like me, I don't think I'm eligible.
See, there's so many different takes on it and so much out there that it is really hard to choose what's right. I don't think we know yet.
It's so things are coming out so quickly. I mean, Congress passed a new law that allows for emergency sick leave for everyone, essentially, and we can get into more of the details later. And extended FMLA leave for everyone. And I guess when I say everyone, they're talking about employers who employ anywhere from 1 to 499 employees. So giant employers aren't affected by these emergency laws, but I think the idea is they probably already have benefits in place that can be used. But for the smaller employers, they're saying, hey, you know, you got to extend the sick leave under the right conditions, and you have to extend the FMLA leave under the right conditions. And then they're going to give tax credits back to cover the cost to the employer. So that's huge, and that law is 1,200 pages long. So it hits tons and tons of stuff. So I have not read that. There's no way I've read that.
Why
but
not?
I've been doing webinars and all sorts of other things and looking stuff up I just did this morning. And so I have a pretty good idea of most of the important things.
Wow. So this is, it's almost like, here, we're going to redo the Healthcare Act. Uh-oh.
It's unreal.
These big documents. It's crazy. So you're saying, okay, so these are the first two things to really look at is emergency sick leave and emergency FMLA leave. What does the FMLA stand for again?
Family Medical Leave Act. And normally it only applies to employers who have 50 or more employees, and there's other requirements. The employees had to work there for a period of time and done and put in so many hours and a few other things to qualify. But that stuff doesn't matter right now. It's the qualifications are really about why you would need the leave. Well, for instance, on the FMLA, you can use it for school closures. If, like in California, most of the schools are closed, so you could get this. Now, the weird thing about this is it kicks in after 10 days. Well, no, you get the unpaid leave for 10 days, and FMLA is always unpaid up until now. So now the first 10 days are unpaid, and then after that, you can get 2/3 of your income on this FMLA leave.
Whoa.
And why do you say that? Why do they have a 10-day pause? Well, because the sick leave is actually broader. It's not just for school closures. But school closures is one of the things that you can get the sick leave for, and they've extended 2 weeks of sick leave, or actually 10 days. It's so normally it's 80 hours, and normally 80 hours would cover 2 work weeks. So that's equal to 10 days. So the idea, at least what I'm thinking is, the idea is, well, you get the sick leave for the first 10 days, and then you get again, if you qualify, you get the FMLA leave for the next, it's going to be 12 total weeks. So I guess you're talking about 10 weeks.
Wow. So this is the economy is going to really shift with this. This is going to change a lot for business owners too. Huge.
Yes.
Affecting everyone. And I think, it's interesting what they say is a small business, and then if you're an independent contractor or self-employed, you're normally screwed. I'm just going to say it. That's it. Well,
Yeah. And the government is saying, hey, look, you can get a tax credit for paying for this leave. So that, yes, the employer has to pay for it up front, but they can get a tax credit later for the money that they had to pay out. And
you hope.
More recently, and I just haven't read the whole 1,200 pages, but I think what they're allowing now is, and it's really up to the IRS regulations more than anything, is you can deduct it from your quarterly payments. And some employers pay monthly, it just kind of depends, but you have to pay taxes up front in quarterly payments, at least. And so you could just deduct it. So if you paid out in leave $5,000 worth of leave benefits, and you paid $10,000 in quarterly payments, you could deduct the $5,000 from the 10 and only pay $5,000 for the quarterly payment.
Wow. Okay, so this is getting...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool, but I always just think they're going to change. I don't know. I just don't trust the government to ever do what they say. Sorry, I'm just saying. That's just me personally. I know I'm going to get in trouble later. I'm going to get in trouble later, but, you just all of a sudden they'll go, oh, we changed our minds, But I think once they put that in place, they really have to. I have a question that I want to know, what happens now with court cases? Are you guys doing Zoom court cases? When you have to go to trial? Do you get to see the prisoners in jail during a court case? What happens?
Yeah, well, all trials have been shut down for a few weeks now. They just said no more trials for at least 30 days, both federal and state. But then now more restrictions have been applied since then. And now they've said all hearings are going to be continued for 30 days, at least at the state level, and I'm pretty sure something similar at the federal level. In fact, I'm sure, I just don't remember exactly what it was. I saw an email on it. So, yeah, basically you don't have to go in unless it's one of those, go into court, unless it's one of those situations where it's an emergency kind of thing. If there's a restraining order that has to be filed, that type of thing, they'll still do those.
Okay. Wow, because I was just thinking as you were calling, I'm like, hey, I wonder what's happening with everything like that. It's suddenly stop, and that's kind of the weird thing. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like ants coming out of our houses and going crazy. We're going to run around the block 10 times and then have to really scurry with all this backlog of work everywhere. It's going to be interesting, but So we've done the emergency sick leave, emergency FMLA leave, and then you say there's an unemployment insurance. So who buys that? The employer?
Well, that's supposed to be paid as you go. As you know, employers who have employees pay into EDD, unemployment insurance leave. So it's not leave. So if you get fired, then you say, hey, I'm fired, I can't find a job, I need some help, and so you've got this money that's paid into accounts that's built up over time. So technically it's already covered. Now, of course, we're going to have a rush, so I think it's going to require some deficit spending. And what I have been hearing, and again, I don't really follow this kind of stuff too closely, but that the federal government's going to give money to the states to help them cover the extended periods of time for which they can get unemployment. And the states really regulate that. So I don't think now or in the future that the federal government's going to do a lot about the regulations. I've heard, for instance, that they've extended it, the period of time for which you can get unemployment by, I think it was 23 weeks. But I think that's a state rule, but it could be a federal rule, and so don't quote me on that. But there is an extension of time. So you know, if this thing goes on for a while, unemployment should come in for a longer period of time than it normally does.
Kids, you know how we always talk about how there's like minimum wages, there's state versus federal, and then there's even city, right? And this trumps this and all of that. So all of this, what we're talking about, all these, you know, this is federal, this is. Are the state and federal going to fight each other on anything, or is it like, you know, no, they'll continue?
Well, I think that part of the law that you just, you know, asked about, where which law applies, I think that's still going to apply to minimum wage and things like that, because I haven't heard anything about that, and I don't think there's any sense in deferring those laws. The rule is, if the state or local government wants to give greater benefits, and usually that's like sick leave and minimum wage, then they're allowed to. And the federal does not trump that. Normally, federal law does trump state law, but if the federal law says, no, we're not going to trump it here, then it's okay. And so that's still going to be in place. I don't think they're going to be fighting about extended benefits that the federal government has granted, and that's now that, I think, is a situation where the federal government trumps the state. They're saying, hey, look, we're extending these leaves, and it's really on the backs of employers, the ones we've talked about anyway. And I don't think the states are going to say, no, you can't do that. We don't agree with it. That's a federal law that's going to trump any state law that would be contrary to that and not allow for greater benefits. And that's true. Actually, that's true everywhere. If the federal government said, oh, we're going to make minimum wage $20 an hour, well, that would trump the state law then, because, you know, we're not there yet. 12 and 13 an hour.
Yeah.
But if the states want to give more away, then that's okay.
Yeah, but I feel like the federal government is there to just step in if the states are not doing what they should be doing, that, you know, or maybe the people in one state are being deprived more than, say, in another state, you know, just to make sure that it doesn't go too far.
Yeah, well, I mean, for instance, you know, I'm going to just pull something out of the hat that I know about. Wyoming, minimum wage is less than the federal minimum wage. Or last time I looked, and I looked at it about a year ago, so I think it's still the same. So really? The federal minimum wage applies in Wyoming.
Okay, so yeah,
so that's where you might
Mm.
see something like you've discussed.
Yeah.
I think this is going to change things for, like, we're going to be talking next year. Can you imagine what it's going to be, new law changes for 2023, 21? I can't count,
who knows?
apparently.
Oh,
it's
my
going to
gosh.
get crazy. I know. It's just going to get crazy. So disability leave, what's been changed there?
Well, because of COVID-19, if you are exposed to it, you can make a claim. And now, this is California. This is state law, and I'm sure other states have similar laws. If you're exposed to it, though, you can make a disability claim. And the idea is, again, this is workers. It's not just anyone. You've had to pay. See, that's a work program, so there's disability insurance through your work. It's not with a private insurer. It's state-run. So there's automatic payments taken out of paychecks every pay period that go to this. And so if you have been affected by COVID-19 in some way, then you can make a disability insurance claim. And that means you basically you can't work because of this. It's not a work-related thing, so it's not work comp, but you can get the short-term benefits.
Okay.
And it's increased. You can get up to 60 or 70% of your wages, which is more than you normally would get. And they've extended the amount too to $1,300. Potentially $1,300 a pay period. Excuse me, per week.
Wow. So you're going through like all kinds of changes. Like no wonder. It's got to be like.
Oh, and honestly, it's been pretty hard to keep up with because I see just like I have databases and I have the internet and I see something, I go, wow, I really need to find out about that. So then I start doing some research on it and figuring it out because I get questions about it. So I try to stay up on it as much as I possibly can, and it's a slew of changes.
Yeah, so it's kind of going according to what your clients' needs are too. Them calling you and saying, "Hey, what about me?" And so it's kind of that. And I know you take calls too. People, if you have questions, call Ward, or just go to his website, bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com, 1-800-CALL-WARD. No, there is no 1-800-CALL-WARD, but go to bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com. But paid family leave. So this is another deal too, because basically all the family's home now. Start playing poker with your kids. That's what you should be doing.
Now the federal programs we talked about, the extended sick leave and the FMLA emergency leave, can cover a lot of this as well. So the way I'm looking at it, and normally you can't double dip, and I'm really I haven't read anything specifically on that about double dipping, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to double dip. But what can happen is when one of these leaves, if it doesn't apply, number one, under your specific circumstances, you've got alternatives under state law like paid family leave and the disability insurance. And if they all apply, you can apply for whichever you think benefits you the most. So in many circumstances under the federal programs, you can only get 2/3 of your wages. And under state law, you can roughly get about the same, so it may end up being close to. So if you can apply for both, then you might pick the one that would give you a few dollars more. It's going to be close, I think. Now, but a lot of the federal ones also give you full pay, so that's probably better.
Wow.
And then once that runs out, assuming that it could possibly last that long, then the state programs would be able to kick in at that point. And that's how I'm giving advice to clients. I'm saying, double dipping, I just don't see that happening. And I just haven't seen anything on it, but it's just never allowed, and I just don't think it will be here. So, take the best one for you. I can help you figure that out, or you can figure it out on your own. And then if you need more later, then you can apply for that as well. And quite frankly, honestly, the programmers ask the question. They say, well, are you getting any other money any other place, any other government program? And you go, yeah, I'm getting this. And they say, well, then we got to adjust this way. So usually that's taken care of in intake. But of course, it depends on honest answers and other things. But boy, you don't want to get caught violating these laws, because once this settles down, I think there'll be a lot of prosecutions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and what about people just firing their staff, like, and going, that's it, you're out, and kind of using this as a, like, get out, I was going to fire you anyway, but now, like, I'm going to play my card.
I don't think those are the right words to use.
No, but I'm just saying. There
is some of that. Yeah. No, I've had calls from employees who are saying, hey, this isn't right, la-di-da-di-da, and that can be a real difficult situation, because now you do have, it's an emergency. And so to prove a pretext that you're being wrongfully terminated is pretty tough right now. Mm-hmm. So that can be a problem, no doubt. But you did bring up something else that was interesting in that question, and that is, what if you just close down a plant or get rid of 50 or more people, and then we have in California something called the WARN Act, and there's also a federal WARN Act, and it's a Workers Retraining Act. And the idea is you got to give 60 days notice before you do something like, a mass layoff. But the governor waived it in California. They said, no, you don't have to worry about it for now. So you can do it. And then the federal has an exemption built into it that looks like it'll probably apply. So that WARN Act. So under neither act will you need to give 60 days notice. In fact, you don't have to give any notice because it's waived. The federal's not waived, but it looks like there's an exemption that would apply. So, that was a big deal. I answered a few questions about that too, and luckily the governor, I wasn't sure at first, and then the governor said, no, I'm waiving it. So.
Yeah, because what about other people? I was going to say, because some people have a job where you're not allowed to go to this kind of job. Whatever. We talk like not a disclosure thing, but when they are hired somewhere, it's like, okay, if you are terminated or you quit, if you're not allowed to go to the same kind of business for 6 months or something, so that you don't, give out trade secrets kind of deal.
Competition.
So what happens if someone does close? I mean, you could go, well, that's it. You're, you know what I mean? I wonder if that's going to pop up.
Well, it might. These are uncertain times. Normally, now, generally you have to sign some type of waiver. I'm not going to disclose trade secrets. So normally that's a signed agreement. I don't see any reason why those would not be enforced. Now, there are general legal reasons why they might not be. If it's really used as a surrogate for preventing someone from getting a future job in California, you just can't do that. It's really tough. So it has to be written correctly. But if it's written correctly, I think those will still be enforceable.
Okay. Wow. So there's the layoffs we're going to be watching, the firings, the shutdowns, like the real shutdowns.
Yeah, and if you have reduced hours, and I've counseled clients on reduced hours, their employees can make claims for unemployment.
And people not getting their paycheck at the end? Have people just kind of like, that's it, I'm closed, and maybe they still owe you money?
Oh, well, yeah, and I counseled someone just recently on that, and they did it right. They gave out paychecks on the last day. They were very organized and did it well. But that law doesn't go away. Now, of course, you can't get blood from a turnip, so you might not be able to collect anything if the business is out of business. But other than that.
So don't call my brain, because it is a turnip head. just kidding. But no, this is really informative stuff, because I think it's going to change up a lot, Ward. I know we're going to be calling you again probably in a week, like, Ward, what happened now? What's going on? It's going to be interesting,
for sure,
because
no problem.
I think there's going to be more changes as this actually goes into effect, and because from what I'm seeing, there is not really going to be any relief for people for about 3 weeks, I don't think. And so it could get ugly out there in the meantime.
Well, that's interesting you brought that up, too. The effective date on the federal programs, the extended sick leave, the extended FMLA leave, it doesn't go into effect till April 2nd. So what that means to me is you can't apply for that stuff until April 2nd.
Ooh, see, that's
Yeah.
Wow, everybody. Yep. Start going to the pawn shop. I'm just kidding. Hopefully
but
not.
the state
Hopefully.
stuff is definitely there. The state programs are definitely there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that just because it isn't effective until April 2nd doesn't mean that you can't start the paperwork.
The process.
I don't know about that. I'm not going to venture an opinion on that, but they might let you start the paperwork and say, you realize this isn't going to go into effect until April 2nd, but we can start, getting you set up for that.
And also get your papers together. That's one thing you can be doing now. Is like, I know they, pushed the taxes off for a while, but until July or something?
Yeah.
June or July? And
yes.
so
Yep.
you can get your stuff ready while you're home. Like get your paperwork together if you haven't done it for a while, and you might find some little holes in places or something cool. You never know what you'll find in there.
Yes.
In that
and
shoebox.
if you think you're going to get a refund, you can file now, and so just file.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
You can wait, but you don't have to.
Now, listen, Ward, before you go, I've got an important question.
Okay.
How jealous should we be for you seeing John Lee Hooker 3 times?
Yeah.
Oh, super jealous.
Yeah.
He is he was amazing, rest his soul. But he was fun to watch. That dude could play.
Mm-hmm.
I like watching.
I was going to say the last time I saw him play, he was really old, and most of his band did most of the work at that point. But it was still just great to see him up there, and he loved music, and you could just see the joy he got, even though he couldn't play like he used to. But the first 2 times, he was really great.
Wow. I know just another lady in the community was saying, I saw him twice. I'm like, dude, what are you all trying to do to me now, man? But, his daughter Zakia's been on our show like 3-4 times now.
Yes.
And his son, John Lee Hooker Jr., has been on a couple times. And they're both like
how cool.
badasses in their own rights. They have their, you can hear him in there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, they each have their own style, and I think that's amazing too. So that's cool. So I can't be totally jealous, but I still am. I'll go watch YouTube now because we've got time to do that around here. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for the updates, everybody. Again, Ward's website is bestemploymentattorneysandiego.com. He's on Twitter at Ward Heinrichs. He's on Facebook, so you can connect with him there. He's always posting good information as well to follow him for that too. So thanks so much, Ward. You take care and stay safe and virus free.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys too. Stay safe.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Good information as always from Ward, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still jealous, though. I'm still jealous. I'm just kidding. Wow, John Lee Hooker, to see him perform live must have been awesome. Speaking of music, before we get to Dr. Jackie, we always love to play the song Heartbeat, cause it's almost become her signature song for when she's on the show. So here it is. It's the title track from Nikki Chris, and we're going to have her on the show probably in the next couple of weeks or so because she's working on some new music. And why not have some fun with Nikki while we're all at home, right?
Exactly.
Always fun having her on the show. I encourage you to go to her website. It's NikkiChris.com. That's KRIS, NikkiChris.com, and keep up with her. But this is the title track to her latest album. Here it is, Heartbeat.